Good morning and welcome to another episode of Tech Talk with your host Andy and Lux Power. So today behind me here you will see we've got a setup. We've got two HINAESS batteries in parallel, and we have three inverters in a single phase parallel setup. And what's different about today is we're going to be talking about the new LuxpowerTek SNA 6kW, which is city approved, and that is the one that comes with the CT clamp. So we've gone ahead and set it up in our test lab, and we've got three machines in parallel. Our test board will allow us to do single phase and three phase. We've got two HINAESS batteries in parallel, and we're going to show you just how it performs. So let's take a closer look. Here we have the two HINAESS rack mount batteries. These are the 5.1 kilowatts. They are connected in parallel. So the top one here will be our master, and this is our slave battery. We've got the dip switches set accordingly. The master is always on 0, and the slave, according to a two battery setup, dip number 1 is on. And the way we've rigged it here, obviously this is not the way you're going to do it in your installation. You have to have a common bus bar or some kind of distribution, but on our test bench we've just rigged it like this so that we can get the test up and running. And basically what we have is we have three SNA 6 kilowatts, and all of them are running on a shared battery. Okay, so this one here is the master, and something that's quite new is the fact that you can see it comes with a CT. That will be packed in with each machine, and the CT goes into the MPPT 485, which we have here. This port we are using to communicate with the battery, and then the bottom two obviously we're using to communicate with the parallel communication. Now you will note that the machine layout and the design is exactly the same as the old 5 kilowatt. So we, in the setup configuration, we do exactly the same thing as what we would have done with the 5 kilowatt. So we have the master, we have the two dips at the bottom here, which are on the slave, the first slave or the middle slave, the dips are off, and on the last slave on the end, the dips are on. And our parallel loop runs from the master to the first slave, from the first slave to the second slave, and then from the second slave all the way back to the master. That completes our parallel loop. We have all of the EPS switches on, and if we take a look at the top here, you will see that all of the machines have got output. So we're going to run some tests now in the single phase configuration, and we'll show you just how well it performs. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. And here you can see we have the parallel setup. So we've already paralleled the machines here. And you can see that we are currently have on a single phase installation, we've got 238 volts coming in, 49.88 is the grid feed. If we go to our configuration section and we have a look at the station, you'll see that the machines appear here. These are the three, and they all are connected. And this is where you would normally parallel them, right? So in our previous videos where we showed you how to do paralleling, this is where you would have done it. And it's pretty basic. It's exactly the same as the 5 kilowatt setup. The only difference obviously being that it is a much bigger MPPT, and the performance is obviously improved. If we click on the battery icon here, we can see that the charge limit is 100 amps, so it's 50 amps per battery, and the discharge current is 200 amps, which is 100 amps per battery. This will give us the total or the information that we need on the units. So that's pretty much it. If we go to our settings here and we read the master, you will notice that we have them set up in a single phase parallel with a shared battery. And we're going to do the same thing for these machines, but in a 3-phase. We have now changed the configuration of the 3 machines so that we have a 3-phase input. So we've still got exactly the same setup here. We've got the 3 SNA 6kW. But what we've done is we've changed the configuration from here to a 3-phase input. It's now coming, so each machine gets its own phase, and we've added, so we've got one CT clamp there, and we've added the other 2 CTs here. So just as a point to note, make sure that you put the correct CT with the correct machine in each phase. And once you set it to 3-phase parallel, they will automatically detect the phases. If they don't, you can just restart the machines and you should get an R, an S, and a T phase. So we've got live 1 coming in here, live 2 and live 3 in here. And if you have a look at the screen, you'll see that we have the 3-phase voltages coming in and the separate outputs. And we've also got 3 separate output phases as opposed to 1 single phase output. And if you look at the monitoring as well, you can see over here that we have an S phase, an R, and a T phase. So that's how we do it in the 3-phase setup. I'm going to show you the outputs that we have here as well. This is the output voltages and frequency that we have, and you'll notice that between the phases, that one, and that one, that the output voltages are different, and that's typical because what the machines are doing is they are mimicking the input voltage or the incoming voltage from grid. And another way to test that your system is a 3-phase output is you can measure the voltage between, so we're going to measure the voltages between live and live on these machines, and we should get 400 volts. So that's between the first and the second phase, we get 415. Then we'll do the middle and the end. We get 414, and then we'll do number 1 and 3. 414. Right, that's a wrap. That brings us to the end of the setup video that we've got for the 3 SNAs. So we've taken you through the single phase parallel setup, and we've taken you through the 3-phase parallel setup. So just to do a recap, we have 3 6kW SNAs here. We have 2 HINAESS batteries in parallel, and we were able to connect them in a single phase parallel showing 1 output, and we've also now done it in a 3-phase parallel with 1 output. So if there are any queries, you can contact us, or alternatively just keep updated on YouTube and you'll be able to see how we progress further with the setup.